Have you ever wondered why so many different religions exist around the world, each claiming to have the ultimate truth? If there was truly one divine voice speaking to humanity, shouldn't the message be the same everywhere? Today, we're diving into one of the most thought-provoking ideas of all time, the possibility that religion was not handed down by God, but rather created by humans. This isn't about disrespecting faith. It's about questioning history, power, and the way belief systems have been shaped to control societies. Get ready, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see the world forever. Human beings have always sought answers to life's mysteries: thunder, lightning, death, and the stars above. Long before organized religion, early humans told stories around fires to explain what they couldn't understand. These myths evolved into more structured belief systems as tribes grew larger and societies became more complex. Religion became a tool of unity, a shared narrative that gave people meaning, order, and purpose. But here's the catch: those stories were created by humans, not handed down from the sky. Archaeological evidence shows that ancient people worshipped nature, ancestors, and even animals long before the modern concept of God emerged. This suggests religion didn't descend from heaven, it rose from human imagination and survival instincts. It was a social glue, keeping tribes together, preventing chaos, and offering comfort in times of fear. Religion wasn't divine, it was deeply human. As civilizations advanced, leaders realized something profound. Controlling people's beliefs meant controlling their actions. Kings, emperors, and pharaohs all claimed divine authority to justify their rule. The pharaohs of Egypt said they were living gods. Medieval kings ruled by divine right. In many cases, religious texts were written or edited under the authority of rulers to reinforce obedience. Religion became less about spirituality and more about politics and power. By making people fear divine punishment, leaders secured loyalty without needing constant military force. Think about it. If you convince people that disobedience will anger the gods, you don't need to watch their every move. Religion, therefore, became one of the most effective tools of control in human history. It wasn't just about faith, it was about authority. One of the strongest arguments against religion being divine is the sheer variety of belief systems. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and thousands of tribal religions all claim they hold the ultimate truth. But if there were truly one God revealing one message, why does each culture have such different stories? The answer is simple. People invented religions based on their own environment, needs, and imaginations. In desert regions, gods were often connected to the sun. In fertile lands, gods were tied to agriculture and harvest. In warrior cultures, gods symbolized strength and conquest. Each religion reflects the society that created it, not some universal divine truth. This diversity doesn't prove the existence of God. It proves the creativity of humanity. Another reason humans created religion was to enforce morality. Without laws, societies risked descending into chaos. Religion provided a supernatural watchman, an invisible eye that judged right from wrong. People feared eternal punishment or hoped for eternal reward, so they followed the rules. But if you look closely, morality exists even outside religion. Studies show that empathy and cooperation evolved naturally in humans for survival. Religion simply formalized what humans already understood. Working together is better than fighting each other. So while religion provided structure, the foundation of morality came from human nature, not divine command. Fear of hell and promise of heaven were psychological tools created to keep order. Today, as science explains more about our world, fewer mysteries are left for religion to answer. We know what causes lightning, earthquakes, and disease. No gods required. With global communication, we can also see how religions contradict each other, making it harder to believe one is absolute truth. Many people are realizing that spirituality doesn't require religion. You can feel connected to the universe, to humanity, and to life itself without following man-made rules written thousands of years ago. Religion was a necessary step in humanity's evolution, but it's becoming clear that it was always a human invention. Once we recognize that, we can choose freedom, critical thinking, and a deeper, more personal connection to existence without needing intermediaries. When we peel back the layers of today's religions, we often find older myths hiding underneath. The story of a great flood exists not only in the Bible, but in Sumerian, Babylonian, and Hindu traditions. The concept of virgin births, dying and rising gods, and cosmic battles between light and darkness appear across multiple cultures. This points to a clear pattern. Religions borrowed, reshaped, and recycled stories to fit their own people's worldview. These myths weren't divine revelations, they were cultural storytelling. Over time, priests and leaders institutionalized these stories, writing them down and declaring them sacred. But the human fingerprints are obvious. These recycled tales prove that religion is not a unique message from God, but an evolving set of human-created myths. Before writing systems, religious traditions were oral, passed from generation to generation. But once writing emerged, religious power strengthened. Suddenly, beliefs became rigid, unchangeable, and could be enforced by sacred texts. This gave authority to priests, scribes, and scholars, who positioned themselves as gatekeepers of divine knowledge. Yet, history shows how these texts were translated, edited, and even censored. Whole books were left out of the Bible. Islamic texts were standardized to ensure unity. Hindu scriptures grew over centuries. This editing process proves that humans, not God, decided what people should believe. If divine truth was absolute, why would it need so many revisions? Writing preserved religion, but it also exposed its human-made foundation. Beyond politics, religion became deeply tied to wealth and economics. Temples and churches collected offerings, tithes, and donations. Some institutions amassed vast riches, owning land, influencing trade, and taxing people in God's name. In medieval Europe, the sale of indulgences allowed the rich to buy forgiveness. In ancient times, sacrifices of livestock, grain, or gold enriched priestly classes. Religion often positioned itself as the bridge between humans and the divine, but access came at a cost. This transactional model reveals another truth. Religion functioned as an economy of belief. Faith became a currency, controlled by those in power, and the divine was monetized. Such systems highlight human invention more than divine intention. Human history is soaked in wars fought in the name of religion. Crusades, jihads, inquisitions, and conquests were justified as God's will. But let's be honest, these conflicts were about land, power, and resources, dressed up in religious clothing. Leaders convinced followers that killing outsiders or unbelievers was a sacred duty, ensuring loyalty and sacrifice. If religion were truly divine, wouldn't it unite humanity instead of dividing it? The fact that religions often stand at the center of war and bloodshed is telling. It shows how belief systems were manipulated to justify violence. This weaponization of faith further reveals its human origin, crafted not for peace, but often for domination. At its heart, religion addresses humanity's greatest fear, death. Ancient humans saw loved ones die without explanation. Religion provided comfort, promises of afterlives, reincarnation, or heavenly rewards. These ideas eased fear and encouraged obedience. But think about it, no one has ever returned with proof of these realms. They remain psychological tools. Religion took humanity's primal fear and offered solutions, giving people hope while keeping them controllable. By promising salvation or threatening eternal punishment, religion created one of the most powerful systems of influence ever conceived. Death may be inevitable, but religion turned it into a market of beliefs. Another human fingerprint on religion is its treatment of gender. In most major religions, men dominate leadership roles while women are restricted. Ancient societies were patriarchal, and religion reflected that. Many divine laws reduced women's freedoms, controlling their roles in family, society, and worship. But if God is beyond human biases, why would divine law consistently reflect human patriarchy? The answer is simple: men wrote the rules. They used religion to cement authority over women, turning spiritual belief into a social hierarchy. This bias exposes the human hand behind so-called divine systems. Science tells us life evolved over billions of years, shaped by natural processes. Yet, nearly every religion has a creation story. Gods molding humans from clay, breathing life into dust, or speaking the world into existence. These myths mirror the limited scientific knowledge of the time. Ancient people didn't know about DNA, galaxies, or evolution. They crafted creation stories from imagination and observation. The clash between science and scripture today highlights the human origin of these stories. If divine truth existed, it should align with reality, but religion often contradicts evidence. That contradiction points toward invention, not revelation. Look closely at any religion, and you'll see a mirror of its culture. Japanese Shinto emphasizes harmony with nature. Hinduism reflects India's complex social order. Norse mythology mirrors a harsh environment of storms, seas, and battles. Each belief system fits perfectly into the society that birthed it. Religion isn't universal, it's contextual. It adapts to human needs, fears, and environments. This adaptability proves it's a human construction, not a divine constant. Religion changes because societies change. God doesn't evolve, but human stories do. Religions often center around prophets, sages, or visionaries: Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, Krishna. But look closely, and they resemble social reformers and philosophers more than supernatural messengers. They addressed injustice, offered wisdom, and built movements. Over time, their words were mythologized, turning humans into divine figures. Legends grew, miracles were added, and teachings became holy texts. What started as human leadership transformed into divine mythology. This process reveals how humans elevate charismatic figures into godlike beings, proving again that religion is human invention. Religions introduce the concept of sin, painting humanity as inherently flawed. From original sin in Christianity to karmic debt in Hinduism, the idea of guilt became central. Why? Because guilty people are easier to control. If you convince someone they are broken and only the religion can save them, you guarantee loyalty. Sin wasn't discovered, it was defined. Religions created problems only they could solve. This clever cycle of guilt and redemption is a hallmark of human systems of control. Interestingly, religion hasn't always been about control. In many cases, oppressed people used faith to resist power. African slaves in America blended Christianity with ancestral beliefs to find hope. Liberation theology in Latin America tied religion to social justice. This dual role of religion, as both chain and key, highlights its human origin. People use it to fit their struggles, adapting faith into a survival tool. Again, this flexibility shows it's a human invention, not a rigid divine truth. If God wanted humanity united, why do so many denominations, sects, and splinter groups exist? Christianity alone has over 40,000 denominations. Islam is divided into Sunni, Shia, and countless sub-branches. Hinduism and Buddhism have schools of thought with stark differences. These divisions arise not from divine clarity, but human disagreements, political, cultural, and interpretive. Each group claims divine authority, yet they contradict each other. This fragmentation is another clear sign of religion's human-made foundation. As societies modernize, more people are finding morality outside religion. Countries with low religious belief, like Sweden or Japan, often have strong social systems, low crime, and high happiness. This proves morality doesn't require divine laws. It can emerge from empathy, cooperation, and reason. Religion once claimed to be the sole source of ethics, but secular societies challenge that claim. When morality thrives without God, it undermines religion's divine authority and exposes its human roots. Historically, religion explained what humans didn't understand. But with science answering more questions, religion's role shrinks. Lightning, now understood as electricity. Disease, caused by germs, not demons. The cosmos, governed by physics, not myth. The more we learn, the less we need divine explanations. Religion survives by shifting to new gaps, but eventually, all mysteries may be solved. This slow retreat shows religion was never divine. It was humanity's placeholder for ignorance. Finally, many people today identify as spiritual but not religious. They seek meaning, connection, and transcendence without dogma. This shift proves that religion is not necessary for human fulfillment. People meditate, practice mindfulness, and explore the universe with awe, free from religious institutions. This modern movement reflects a profound realization. Spirituality is human, not divine. Religion may have been invented by humans, but the quest for meaning always belonged to us. In ancient times, dreams were seen as messages from gods or ancestors. Shamans, priests, and prophets interpreted visions as sacred revelations. But psychology now explains that dreams are natural brain processes, our minds processing memories, fears, and desires. Ancient people lacked this knowledge, so they attributed the strange images in dreams to divine communication. These interpretations eventually shaped entire religious traditions. Prophets claimed divine visions, yet in reality, they were experiencing human psychology. This shows how deeply human experiences, not divine interventions, sparked the foundations of religion. Religious texts did not simply fall from heaven. They were chosen, debated, and compiled by councils of men. The Bible, for example, was formed through centuries of selection. Some gospels were accepted, others were rejected. The Quran was standardized under political authority. Hindu epics grew by accumulation. The canonization process was political, not divine. Decisions about which stories were holy and which were discarded revealed a human hand shaping faith. If God dictated scripture, why was so much human debate required? This political editing proves religion was curated, not revealed. Temples, churches, mosques, and pyramids were not just houses of worship, they were symbols of power. Built on massive scales, they dominated landscapes, reminding people daily of religious authority. But these structures also reveal human ambition. Rulers and priests built monuments not only for gods, but for themselves, securing legacy and control. The grandeur of cathedrals, the majesty of pyramids, the intricate carvings of Hindu temples, all reflect human artistry and politics more than divine intervention. Religion inspired architecture, but humans designed every stone. Rituals, chanting, fasting, prayer, and sacrifice are common across religions. They create unity, discipline, and emotional highs. But psychology shows rituals trigger brain chemistry, reinforcing belief and belonging. Group singing releases oxytocin. Fasting alters consciousness. Chanting induces trance-like states. What feels like divine connection is actually human biology responding to rhythm, repetition, and community. Rituals are powerful, but their effectiveness comes from psychology, not God. Religion understood human minds long before science did and used rituals to bind communities. The promise of paradise and the threat of eternal torment are central to many religions. Yet ancient records show these ideas evolved over time. Early Judaism, for example, had no concept of hell as modern Christians imagine it. Greek and Persian influences shaped later doctrines. These evolving ideas show heaven and hell were human inventions, crafted to control behavior through hope and fear. No consistent description exists across religions. Each culture imagines the afterlife differently. If it were real, wouldn't it be the same everywhere? Instead, it's a reflection of human imagination. Religions often claim their texts predict the future. Prophecies give faith an air of divine truth, but most prophecies are vague, metaphorical, or written after events occurred. For example, many fulfilled prophecies in religious texts were edited to match history. Others are so general they can fit multiple outcomes. This technique gives people the illusion of divine foresight. In reality, it's clever human storytelling, not supernatural prediction. Prophecies don't prove divinity. They prove humanity's love of patterns and meaning-making. Religions don't just change rituals, they change gods. Polytheistic societies like Greece, Rome, and Egypt had pantheons of deities. Later, monotheistic religions emerged, claiming there is only one God. Even within monotheism, the nature of God has evolved, from a jealous tribal deity in early texts to an all-loving universal being. This transformation reflects shifting human values, not divine constancy. Gods change because humans change. If divinity were eternal, why would its image evolve so drastically? The answer is clear. Religion reflects humanity, not heaven. Miracles are often cited as proof of divine power, but many so-called miracles can be explained by coincidence, medical anomalies, or psychological belief. Placebo effects, survival against odds, and unexplained natural phenomena have all been interpreted as miracles. People see what they want to see, turning rare events into divine proof. Yet miracles are inconsistent. They appear across all religions, not just one. This suggests they aren't proof of one true God, but of human interpretation. Miracles inspire faith, but they reveal more about human psychology than divine reality. Crosses, crescents, mandalas, and statues, religion is full of symbols. These symbols are powerful, triggering deep emotions and cultural identity.